Alright, Al fam, let's do a quick market update before we begin. I do want to say that nothing in this video is financial advice. Everything is for educational purposes only. This is just my own analysis on the market. Also, if you're new to this channel, if you could please like, comment, and subscribe, we really do appreciate all the support. So guys, let's get into this. We didn't do a video yesterday. I was having some technical issues, and yesterday was a crazy day. So we had multiple different factors going on, but obviously we had a massive sell-off yesterday. Why did we have this sell-off? Yesterday morning, coming back down, Bank of Japan. All right. Why are we moving back up aggressively? Bank of Japan. Well, I'm going to give you context of the macro setting and where we're at right now, where I think we're going, and that I think the Bank of Japan, this event finally getting done, is going to allow the market to finally get some relief. So let's start. We have a multiple days worth of data that we need to look back at. So let's start with the 17th, and we're going to go through to the 19th. I go on forexfactory.com is where I look for my macro data. It's real easy, keeps it all in one place. You can locate, days data broken down by country and what it is, and then it will even give you more details if you need it. So I really like it. Obviously, we started on the 18th yesterday, guys, with massive CPI data that was super bullish. All right, they were projecting us to go up to 3.1 and we went down to 2.7. all right, that's massive. All right, so I know a lot of you guys are wondering, well, why did we go back down? Because this Bank of Japan issue has been such a macro headwind that people have been kind of waiting for it to get done before making moves. So what ends up happening before these events, guys, is you get major de-risking into the event. All right, so you get guys that are going to de-risk into the event. They're lowering leverage. They don't want to be levered. They don't want to have any positions open, because if it goes the opposite direction, they don't want to get liquidated. They don't want to get flushed out. And you've also had 2 months of basically capitulation added onto that. So you have people that capitulate just off of time, guys. Once they see the market's not moving up fast enough for them, and they just get frustrated. You've got guys that have been in position since last year at this time that thought they were going to get in for the bull run, that have just really been ran through the ringer this year in 2025. So people get frustrated and they capitulate. But that's also the sign for the local bottom. So looking at this, last night we did get the Bank of Japan did make their announcement. They did raise their policy up to 75 basis point, and this was totally expected. So why are we moving up so aggressively? Because the event's over. So it's the same thing with these bearish events, guys. Is buy the rumor, sell the news is a thing for bullish events. So like people start pricing these events in the future, and then before they start pricing them in now for events in the future. And the same thing happens for bearish events. People de-risk prior to the event. Once the announcement, everything's made, we're already at local bottoms. It's time to move back up. So let's get into the charts. We've had a very aggressive move last night, guys. And you can see this right here when we're looking at this. You can see that we've broken. Let me go on the 4 hour. We are basically flirting right now and attempting to reclaim the 50-day on the 4 hour. All right, guys, Bitcoin's up almost 3%. You can see the rest of the market's up significantly as well. What we need to happen, and we can see it, it looks like it's starting to kind of occur, is we could be in the process of making maybe like a bull flag right here. This is the 15-minute. You can see Bitcoin's holding this support level right here, and you can see that it's got this resistance right here that it keeps rejecting off of. And again, guys, this is still early in the day. We're still waiting for the US market to open up, but I'm just looking at these patterns and trying to make a determination. Are we going to get a trend continuation? Or, because we got to be honest about some other stuff, guys, this was a bear pendant. All right, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, that this was making a bear pendant. All right, and technically you can say this thing is broken out, did a bearish retest. So the first level that Bitcoin really needs to reclaim right now, to me, is above this level. And then once it does that, obviously the 50 days next. Looking at this on the 4 hour, you can see we need to get above this level. And I think we will, guys. I mean, we've had a lot of really negative macro events happen over the last couple of months. And I've been saying it for the last 2 weeks. As soon as we get past this event, unless there's just some random bombing somewhere, or two countries start going to war, I don't really think there's any macro headwinds that are negative on the horizon. Something else that happened yesterday was the Bank of England lowered interest rates. They weren't projecting to lower interest rates, so that was an extra bullish catalyst. But I want to talk about the one thing that I've seen this morning that I don't think anybody's talking about. This. This is the Fed's balance sheet, guys. Quantitative easing is here. They did 3-something billion the other day. Look, they just put in today, we got $17.56 billion that was pumped into the markets. All right, you can see it right here, $17 billion. All right, this move to this move, just in the last week, they've basically pumped in about $20 billion. We know that these guys are going to start aggressively easing, and we have to understand what we're getting set up for. And that's why I tell guys, you guys probably really should go listen to Raoul Paul. Go watch his stuff. He's been talking about this all year long, guys, which is basically that the market's 2025 bull run year was not actually accurate because of COVID, and because they went through on the back end of COVID doing the largest interest rate hike in human history. They didn't get a chance to roll the debt over because it took them longer to lower interest rates back down and stopping that quantitative tightening. We were in quantitative tightening for over 3 years, guys. Like, seriously, it was a very long time. So this made the ISM, or the debt refinance cycle, instead of it being about a 4-year thing for them to refinance the debt, it actually pushed it to about 5.5 years, which would roll over to 2026. All right, guys, this is very important for you guys to understand that I think a lot of people, and I hear this 4-year cycle thing all day long. All right, 4-year cycle, 4-year cycle, 4-year cycle. And again, guys, I understand that every cycle prior lined up with the ISM in the business refinance cycle, in them doing easing and then refinancing debt. The only time this didn't line up was because of COVID, guys, and that was because of this major macro event that was, across the world, that was preventing, from the market from doing what it needed to do. So with that being said, guys, I think people have to understand that we're getting ready to go into 2026, and there's a lot to be bullish for next year, guys. We're doing quantitative easing. All right, we're in the process of it right now. Jerome Powell's going to be getting replaced. Trump is going to do everything in his power for midterms for these markets to be rallying, and we got stimulus checks. All right, guys. So with that being said, Bitcoin obviously needs to reclaim some levels. This is obviously looking like a good daily start. Obviously, we have to wait for the market to open up for, 9:30. So we still got a bit of time. But as long as the market can continue to push, we need to reclaim some levels, and then hopefully this thing is done. What I'm noticing on a bunch of these altcoins, like we'll use Athena. What Athena looks like it's done to me, if I make this over here, let me show you guys. A lot of these alts have done their springs. All right. So let's say that this was Athena's new trading range. All right. And where, support, resistance, support, and resistance. It's been in there for a couple months now. After it dropped out of this level down here, you can see once it lost support, it broke down to this level. It's been using this as resistance. Well, you can see we deviated out of this, did a retest, and now we're starting to move back up. This looks like, to me, the spring. So if I go over here, we talk about the Wyckoff a lot, guys. So if I go over here to Wyckoff, I'm going to show you what you're looking for the indication of a reversal and a continuation on a new uptrend. All right, guys, we're looking for this spring, which is a deviation outside of the trading range. You can see this resistance, the support, the deviation out, the retest, and then boom, we take off. Athena did this last time and made its move, and I'm going to show you guys an example of this. So this looks like it's spring. It deviated out of its trading range. So what we would need now is Athena to break back in, do a retest, break out of this trend line, probably maybe come back down and want to do a retest again, and then break out. All right, guys, and then this would be the next start of, Athena's breakout to wherever it decides to go to. And I'm just using Athena as an example. I'm going to show you this on another couple of charts. So when Athena was over here, this is the prior move that it just had last year. All right, guys, and me and my community really did good off this trade right here. So you can see this was its trading range. You can see this was its resistance. You can see this is its support. You can see the deviation out, the retest. This was my entry, and then it did about a 3x afterwards. All right, and obviously being in stablecoin protocol, layer 1 stablecoin protocol, third largest stablecoin per market cap, and extremely bullish on stablecoin protocols. So when I got that entry on Athena, I took it, and it was a very good trade. It's showing me the same signs that it did over here, guys. All right, it's not just him. There's multiple of them. Like, so this is curve. So if I take these drawings off curve, you can see this was its trading range, and this was its resistance zone. Actually, let me move this over. You can see right here, it come down into this level. It finds support, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance, deviation out of the trading range. All right, deviation out of the trading range, same setup as what we're looking for on Athena. Reclaim, and then we start making moves up. All right, this is also off the back of a massive trend line, and honestly, if you look at curve, and if I just remove everything from this, curve looks like it's done a breakout of this trend line or this resistance zone. This thing looks like it's a massive descending wedge pattern, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So something I tell guys to do if you're trying to get into crypto, or not just crypto but any markets generally, you need to learn patterns. You need to learn price action and flag patterns. Very easy way to do that is you go over to Google and you can type it in, and you can just type in crypto flag pattern, and then you'll get a bunch of these, and you can just look on these things, and then you start looking for these characteristics on, you know, different stuff. So like, to me, this looks like what I'll show you exactly what curve has been doing all of this time. All right, looks like it's making this bullish flag pattern, but it's a bullish falling wedge. So you can see on the characteristics of this is basically lower highs and higher lows, and then it goes in wedges into a corner. You can see it, and then once it gets into this corner and squeezes, then it breaks out of this range, and then once it breaks out of this range, and then it can actually take off. The last time curve did this, you can see curve did one of these. It was like a miniature one. It's right here. And then guess what happened? It broke out, cracked that 50-day, and then it was off to the races. All right, we're getting ready for the reversal, guys. I think we're getting ready for altcoins in the market to really take back off and go back up. These things have been extremely beat down, literally since the end of July. The last 3 months have just been pretty much down only. And then even look at this, like when we came down, this is the Terra FUD. This was about 95 days. All right, so if you measure this right here, this is 146 days, guys, of pretty much just downtrend. All right, it's time for these things to reclaim some levels. It's time for these things to get back up, especially going into 2026. I think crypto is about to do the biggest catch-up trade of all time. So with that being said, we also want to look at TradFi markets. All right, this is NASDAQ. You can see NASDAQ is doing really well. It did the same thing. It's got to move up. Honestly, guys, I think both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ look pretty good. We can see right here, the S&P 500 has held above the 50. The futures is back. It's well above the 50. NASDAQ, I believe it will reclaim it today. Still in a bullish uptrend, guys. I think we can get past these events now. All right, that's the great thing about these events. Even though it's been really destructive these last couple of weeks, it's over. We can continue to move forward. And one thing we want to watch and monitor is obviously USDT dominance. I told you it would look like it's making this bull flag. It looks like it's broken out. This would be nice if this would be the top and this would just start collapsing back down. All right, we need to see some relief in USDT dominance for us to get our bags and our portfolios going back up. This thing is at a massive area of resistance. It's been in this for the last, every time it's ever come into this since 2023, it's always rejected. We really need this thing to start breaking down. All right, guys. That also, one thing I am a little concerned about and been watching is Bitcoin dominance. Did crack it back above the 50. All right. I'm hoping we'll start getting some relief. And basically what this thing wanted to do was, you can see this area right here had a lot of confluence in it. You can see it was a rejection, rejection, rejection. We did this spring out, found a little support, and then we broke back through. I think it just wanted to do a bearish retest of this level, but we do need to get back below the 50, because if you look right here, let me remove. This looks like it's doing another bearish retest on the weekly. Perfectly normal, doesn't look bad at all. Bearish retest, push down, get some relief. All right, guys. Again, I think things after, now that we've made it past this event, hopefully we can continue to move up. I've been doing a bit of research into the selling pressure of the last couple of weeks, and there's been a few dynamics. Obviously the de-risking going into the Bank of Japan, but there's also been the ban on miners in China, which basically you could see it on chain that all of a sudden China had all these miners just go offline. And all of the sell pressure has been coming from China, We can see it on their FX market sessions. The money is being dumped from China, and we think it's the miners. In just a few days, the miners that were selling stopped. All right, so now that I think we've gotten past this macro event, I think anybody that wanted to de-risk or get out of the market has. I think now we can finally start to move back up. All right, guys. So with that being said, I'll keep you guys notified. I'll be posting another update soon. Also, if you're new to this channel, if you can please like, comment, and subscribe, we really do appreciate the support. Also, if you've been following me for a little while and you want to understand this stuff at a better understanding, if you want to understand macro fundamentals, technical analysis, if you're wanting to learn how to really take advantage of this market, if you want to understand why I keep saying this is the largest transfer of wealth in human history, click the link below, guys. We'll see you inside.